60 Minutes with Angela starts right now.
This is Andrew Kumakpai. He is the sector commander of a federal agency here in Nigeria, the Federal Road Safety Corps. He heads that agency in Rivers State, one of the oil-producing states that make up Nigeria's Niger Delta region, situated in the South-South geopolitical zone. Its capital is Port Harcourt, and that's where Mr. Kumakpai was conducting a routine inspection of officers of the Federal Road Safety Corps on Monday, April 10th, 2017. Now, he reportedly inspected their fingernails, he inspected their hair, and he narrowed it down to 2 female officers who were deemed to have breached the dress code of the Federal Road Safety Corps. Now, what did Mr. Kumakpai do? He took a pair of scissors. He cut off the hair of these 2 women because he felt they had breached the agency's rules. Well, hello and welcome to the program. I'm Angela Ajetumobi. And that's where my host today comes in. She's a women's rights activist, founding president of Women Arise for Change, which she established in the year 2003. She's also the president of Campaign for Democracy, executive director, Institute of Human Rights and Democratic Studies, chairman, task force of the Citizen Forum, president, Center for Change in Community Development and Public Awareness. She's also the president of the Center for Participatory Democracy. In 2013, she was honored by the United States Department of State's International Women of Courage Award. That award given to her by Michelle Obama and the former Secretary of State to the United States, John Kerry, in celebration of International Women's Day. She holds a bachelor's degree in English education, which she obtained in 1987, followed that up with a master's in education, specializing in guidance and counseling, and a PhD in history and policy of education that she got in 1996. Dr. Joe OKEI ODUMAKIN joins me now on 60 Minutes with Angela. Welcome, Dr. Joe. Thank you very much for coming on the program with me today.
Thank you.
Right, so let's start with the Federal Road Safety Corps. You remember that on Monday, April 10, we all woke up to photographs of Mr. Kumakpai, the Rivers State Sector Commander of the Road Safety Corps, meting out that punishment to 2 female officers, he says, for breaching the dress code of the agency. And I thought we should start off with the FRSC directives. Those directives specify that female employees need to, quote, maintain a hairstyle that can be tucked into that beret. So if they know that, some people are arguing that, then they shouldn't have flouted the directive.
I recall vividly during the military dictatorship where the military governor, Chespiff of Rivers State, said a journalist reported on the coverage of his birthday and he got so angry that he had to shave that journalist's head. That was military dictatorship. Now, the same thing is repeating itself in the same Rivers State. And then making reference to the dress code of the Federal Road Safety Corps. The person who has written such and taking into cognizance that women, I mean, a lot of them wear long hair, and then having to tuck it in under their berets. The person who has written it will have subjected it to proper scrutiny. And in the same breath, if Mr. Kumakbai, the sector commander, Rivers State, thinks that someone has flouted the order of such code, I think for him to take laws into his hands, getting that pair of scissors, is an abuse of power, is barbaric, strongly condemnable, violent violations of the fundamental human rights of those women, and also subjecting them to harassment and public ridicule. How can...
Would you have felt better if he had cut their hair in private, in a private room when nobody was there and we didn't see the photographs?
Well, I would have felt a bit better, but I know that there are rules and regulations, there are sanctions, and this is a civilized crime. Apart from that, someone who holds public office should know how to control temperament and how, when we talk about rule of law. And I think if any of the officers have flouted such code, there are proper ways of seeking redress, probably query, suspension, or even simple instruction, go and put off such. I don't want to see it, before that has to be... By the time
you come tomorrow.
Yes, I don't want to see it, or immediately that person will be instructed to leave the scene. But I also want to think that because these people are women, and some people have seen women as the weaker sex, and they can always violate them. If it were men, maybe an officer had one dreadlock or something, would you have called one or two men that are officers and subject them to such public harassment and ridicule? And then listening to the spokesman, Mr. Bisi Kazim, who said, well, it's not suspension, they were just recalled so that they can pave way for proper investigation.
When I heard that, it was like he was devaluing the horror of the incident by insisting that it's a mild rebuke. We're not suspending him. Let nobody think it's a suspension. We've only recalled him while investigation is going on. In other words, it would seem that they don't consider this to be much of a big deal.
I think the image maker of the road safety has a lot to do. For me, it was a heartbreaking day for me, seeing the way those officers were, after subjecting them to harassment and ridiculing them, and then in another breath for one to just commonize the thing that, well, it's not that it's been suspended, it's a slight thing, they were just recalled to pave way for investigation. First, I mean, the spokesman for the road safety will have just said, well, we strongly condemn it, and to serve as a deterrent, we are going to painstakingly go through the process and also ensure that anyone culpable will not be spared. That is soothing enough. It's just like adding salt to an injury. You just see that some of those things you see in movies, somebody comes, takes scissors, so you just, I mean, and this thing is a thread. We have had people who report that their parents somebody came to report that she came out late, the father said open your legs, and was using torch and was trying to use finger to say what has happened and everything. So this is how it starts, and I think that there would have been a better way, of situating what has taken place. But I just want to say that we are painstakingly watching. And the image maker or the road safety company, I think that is a simple thing. And at the end, we see that officer without due sanction, a sanction that will subject it to the magnitude of the embarrassment and abuse method of those officers. So we'll basically wait and see how the investigation will unfold, and at the end, what will serve as sanction. Because we will see that, well, the officers there are role models, and probably they have heard query or something. It will also help them to redress such things, and I'm sure they might not want to repeat it. But with what has happened, it's just like glossing over, what will have taken place, and then using a sledgehammer to kill a fly. And I think that because they are women because they are seen as weaker sex. You know, some of these places, you go to the banking sector, somebody who is into marketing, you'll be giving out an order. So if you see working environment where women are, the way women are treated
is very tense.
Very, very tense. Dehumanizing. Some of those women get depressed. We see somebody committing suicide. We see, women soliloquizing, talking to themselves and everything. It starts from somewhere, and there comes a time in the life of any nation where people must rise up in unison to say enough is enough. Enough of humiliation, enough of dehumanizing women, enough of using force, enough of all that we have had to see happen to women. Is it at the political sphere? Any sector, women must be treated with respect and dignity. And if we think that anyone has erred, okay, we have the rule of law.
Yes.
With what the officer has done, Mr. Kumakbai, he will have just said you are suspended or you are dismissed. But due process, he was recalled, and then investigation. That's what he should have also learned, that as a sector commander is the number one commander of River State.
Yes.
There will have been caution. That's how things start. I remember some times back, some dead bodies will be displayed. Yeah. Oh, some people were killed. So now there's jungle justice everywhere. Things get into the psyche of people. We are all born tabula rasa with our mind as black as slate. Yes. When we see our young ones, our children, they continue to imbibe these things, and at the end of the day, then it comes to erode all what they will have learned. Yes. This is one case too many of gross abuse of power, of violations of fundamental human rights.
What do you say to those women? Some people said, why did they just stand there and take it? And I thought, fear of losing their jobs. What were they meant to do? Could they have staged a walkout, for instance?
I think in such circumstance, if the women had behaved otherwise, probably if they had refused, there would have been greater sin. So I'm just sure that you see women, most of the time women want to comport themselves, yes, not want ridicule. So one of them just folded her arms akimbo, and she put and was just looking, and she was just calm, cool and calm. And at the end, seeing the whole conduct and everything, with the uproar that we had, the public is now speaking for them. But I think that women must always weigh the option. We had a sad case of someone who reported that he was terribly harassed by the boss, but she had to give in, and after the harassment, she reported. So let women weigh all the options. Just view the circumstances before they now see themselves as helpless. Yeah. But in such circumstance where there's an open parade, you have people around, this is the number one officer of that state.
Yes.
He has brought in scissors. Anything will have happened. We have seen the case of a girl struggling with the teacher, and horsewhip hit her on her left eye. She lost her sight years back. So let women continue to weigh the options. If it's any circumstance that they can help, let them refuse and insist that due process must take place. And I even want to say that these women, depending on the outcome, must press further through a competent court. If at the end that whatever the outcome of such investigation will be, yes, whatever the sanctions that will be given, if one is not happy about it,
they should pursue.
Yes, impunity is on the rise. Yeah. Everywhere, women are slapped, they are subjected to all sorts of ridicule, they are being harassed, they are being demeaned, they get depressed. No one has a right to talk down on anyone except if that person has given such permission. Yeah. So anywhere women find themselves, they should always make sure that they hold their heads high. And when they get to circumstances where they want to be ridiculed, they should weigh the options. If it's a situation where they cannot help, let them remain cool and calm,
yes,
and then report. The law will take its course. But for those who can have other options, rather than subjecting themselves to such ridicule, I'm sure they should opt out and then press for charges, yes, and go to a competent court of jurisdiction.
Some people were really offended at the thought of Mr. Kumakpai actually touching the woman's hair. If the woman was a married woman, for instance, has he not invaded her private space? I found through research that what he did is deemed to be grievous bodily harm in the United Kingdom. But I'm not sure if we have anything actually in our criminal laws here, other than maybe assault and battery, that can form the basis of prosecution against Mr. Kumakpai.
What Mr. Kumakpai did, I mean, holding the hair and then
and he was posing for the photograph.
Yes, this is social media age.
Yes.
And anything happens.
If not for social media.
If not for that, I mean, probably it will have been covered. At the end, those officers will be called. I mean, there will be apology and the rest, and people will not know.
Yes.
Then you could see, it's just like a movie.
Yes.
Took it gleefully, he held the scissors, he was cutting. There's no
He felt justified.
He felt justified and touching, is harassment. How can you hold on a man, either they are married or
Yes.
single?
Yes.
No one has a right to touch anyone. If any
I
permission,
haven't allowed you
yes,
the permission.
Then you just come, you stand, you hold on to the person's hair and you start cutting. I think that is indecent, assault. And I know that charges could still be pressed. I mean, like you have rightly said and observed in the United Kingdom. In our own climb here is maybe assault,
Yes.
indecent touching, and the rest. But we have always said it, even at other levels, corporal punishment.
Yeah.
People cannot control their temperament. But the way these officers were touched, I think that if the full weight of the law
Yes.
is not brought to bear, if the judicial process does not take its course, that's if the Federal Road Safety Corps fails to act. I think that there are still things that can be done. We need more awareness, enlightenment. Women must stand up because it's now becoming a daily thing.
Yes.
Anywhere, offices, shops, homes. We had a case sometimes 2 years or 3 years that was reported, a lady that was accused of stealing 50,000, and the woman called the officer, the husband, and what the lady was tortured and acid was poured on her eventually. So I think that we need awareness, we need to stand firm. People need proper education, awareness, sensitization, and that is why at times that when things happen, I will always wonder that should we also add to it that they must subject some of these people, to
The psychiatric
test. Because respected officer, I don't
Yes.
know why the person should take laws into his hands.
Yes.
When did the person turn to a barber? And even if I want to barb my own or something, I must agree
Yes.
that one will touch me and
And you
hold
know
my
that
hair.
with these braids that we wear, he could have actually cut off some of the people's real hair.
Yes.
He's assuming that the braids are long, but
Yes.
their hair is not long. He could have actually chopped off their hair.
Exactly. That some of them, I mean, among those officers,
Yes.
will have even lost,
Some of their own
some
natural hair.
some of their own natural hair, and that's a thing that has taken, over years, over time
To grow.
So, if such a thing is done in the public, what will happen in private? So, I really think that this is one assault to men, and we'll have to rise up to the occasion. And I don't want the Federal Road Safety Corps to just dismiss it with a wave of hand. This is barbaric, and we'll have to stop it.
Join us again after the break.
Nice question.
Angela, that's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
That is a serious question. Angela, that is a very great question. Great question, Angela.
Angela, that's a very difficult question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Angela, that's a tough one for me.
That's a good question. Good question.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetomobi. On my hot seat today, Dr. Joe OKEI ODUMAKIN, President and Founder of Women Arise for Change. So, Dr. Joe, but the women, don't they know the rules? Why flout the rules? I mean, if anybody says, these are the rules, and you want to join an organization and you see that these rules do not sit very well with you, I suppose that's the moment you start to consider a career change. So if they knew the rules, why flout the rules?
The women knew the rules before being employed. I mean, one will have read the rules and regulation, and one knows what amounts to improper dressing. And even if they are attempted to tuck their hair under the beret, that would have been another argument. Probably the hair was tucked and another argument.
It will stick out.
It will stick out.
Yes.
I want women to know that they are role models. We have people looking up onto them. They are younger ones, sisters, they are mothers. Anyone who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Yes.
We should not give room for people to make, negative comments. And I'm sure that although anywhere, even in the media, in schools, not only women, we have some bad eggs. We still have people who just want to flout
The law just for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of it. I think that if not for what had happened, one would have descended heavily on the women.
Yes.
Because there are some organizations that for employment, some of them say we don't employ women. And maybe because they have had some nasty experience. But I just want to say that all women are not the same. And I also want our women to learn from these mistakes of these two officers. That anywhere that we are, there are rules, there are regulations. If one cannot subject ourselves to the rules and regulations of an organization, one can opt out, go for other career. So if someone deliberately flouts the rule, such a person must be properly sanctioned within the ambit of the law. And I also want to say that women, we always say no woman, no nation. So as mothers, we have our children, we have our neighbors, anywhere that we find ourselves, women must try as much as possible because they are like the mirror of the society. And women remains the lubricants for the survival of any society. So women should please always have it at the back of their mind that they are the mirror of society.
They've probably been wearing those hairstyles for long. I mean, it may have been the rules, but the rules have probably been flouted forever and ever. And, until a new boss comes who wants to insist on the rules. So it is important too for us to say that if you find yourself in a place where there are rules, you must sit within those rules.
It's a very good observation. At times there are rules, regulations where people will deliberately flout and it's become a norm, the trend. So when you have new intakes, new officers, new recruitment, they will have been handed the rules, the handbook. But they will have seen others, doing such and working, scot-free. So they want to emulate such. So I think that probably, like you rightly observe, we always have those that might want to instill discipline. When thing has become a norm, it has become a trend. And then somebody comes in and then sees, such thing and wants to bring sanity to the system. It's just the way and manner of approach that has put Mr. Kumapa in a very bad and distasteful taste. So for those who know the rules of any organization, we just want to beg and want to plead that you should always strive hard to do that and not emulate the bad things that we put them. It's just like swimming against the tide. So for people that will be listening to this, let them go take their handbook, dust it, read again, and be ready to stick to the rules. It's not a jungle society. It's not where we have rules, we have regulations that govern any organization. And if we want a very strong institution, we must ensure that we keep to the rules. And when we are not ready to keep to the rules, we opt out. So for anyone that is listening, let those ones go back again, dust their rules of engagement, and know what it's all about. Because impunity will not continue to thrive, and the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So the moment we want to redress what has become a norm, we are saying that people should speak the change, act the change.
Be
the change. And be the change. There's no development without change, and we cannot continue to do things the old ways, what we think is right. We must stick to the rules and regulations
I want to take you back to a policy dialogue that you organized way back in 2014 in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. It was on gender-based violence, and one of the key speakers there was the former chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, who spoke on rape. I also know you're doing a lot of work about rape and related matters. Now, Professor Odinkalu called attention to the law as an encourager of rape. He says the law specifies life imprisonment for rape of women, but for the rape of a child, depending on where the child is located, it's imprisonment for either 7 or 14 years. He also observed that if you rape a woman, it is rape. But if you rape a child, it is called defilement, as if it's lesser than rape. That was 2014. We are in 2017 now. Has anything changed about those laws?
The laws are still there, and I want to agree with Professor Chidi Odinkalu,
Yes.
who was the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, as at the time we had the stakeholder summit in Abuja 2014.
Yes.
And one thing that was worrisome and so disturbing then, and like you asked, is it still
there now?
Yeah. Okay, then 2014 and even up to this moment, if anyone has the canon knowledge of a child, it will be termed defilement, and it depends on what part of the country such as taking place. In a section of the country is 7 years imprisonment. In another section of the country is 14 years imprisonment. But if it's a grown-up person, is life imprisonment. We've had cases that were reported, 6-month-old baby. That's according to the law, the defilement. And 41-year-old man was HIV positive. And the herbalist told him that if you should have canon knowledge of any girl that has never known any man, he'll be cured of the HIV.
So he descended on a girl that is 7 months old.
Yes, 6 months. The mom was fetching water and had the baby was lying down on the bed, and immediately he knew the mom would go very far. The girl was sleeping, removed the pampers, and slept like twice with the baby, and the baby even lost multiple organs. It was very, very painful. In fact, when we were at the national conference, some people were so angry and they were asking for outright castration for anyone that engages in such acts. We have laws, but
a 6-month-old baby.
A 6-month-old baby. And because of the fact that our people are enlightenment is not much. By the time we go on massive enlightenment, it will just be like dropping a cube of sugar in an ocean. What the woman did at that point in time was to take the baby, started cleaning her. But
removing the evidence.
Yes, the moment the baby is cleaned, the evidence will be cleaned off. But really, it's so sad. Day in, day out, to have cases 1 year, 2 years.
Was the man cured of the HIV?
No, never cured. And the case was in court for, I think, close to 4 years. But unfortunately, the man did not survive the process. That is,
died?
Yes, in the process.
Did he think what he did was wrong?
Yes, but he said it was the devil, because that's although they tried them to trace the herbalists and everywhere where he took them to uncompleted building, nobody was there and the rest, but he wasn't cured of the HIV. And then he said he felt bad about it and that it was the devil. So he was sober, and I think that added, to his death, because he kept on talking to himself. He was withdrawn, and then he had several ailments. He was going to the hospital and everything. The mom was blaming herself that she would have put her baby on the back and then keep fetching water. But the thing is that we have lots of cases
like that.
Yes, we want to salute the judiciary. For instance, some of the people say, they will have special courts where cases of rape, defilement will be. We have our courts, despite the fact that we have to go through the process in making sure that the innocent is not pronounced guilty and the guilty is not set free. But we have to speed it off trial, because we have had several cases. Most of those cases are in court. Several adjournments, and at the end.
Why are they adjourning? You know, a 41-year-old man rapes a 6-month-old child. What is there to discuss? What are you adjourning? What is the case adjourning for? On technicalities or?
Yes, we're looking for more evidence. You know, the hospital, when that case happened, that baby was not taken to the hospital. It was taken to all these herbal.
So there was no semen sample?
No.
DNA?
No, it was at the point of almost losing the baby.
Yes.
And you also know poverty.
Yes.
And everything. That was when somebody just sent a message that something happened, you know, to a child.
Yes.
And maybe before then, in fact, the man first denied, but later on, he said because of his religion and everything, that he's confessing.
Yeah.
He did it. It wasn't as if there was an immediate test or any other thing. The woman took that child to all these help places where they were putting herbs and, you know, taking care of that baby. Finally, she was almost losing it. And then at the point, she eventually lost the child because that child has been on. So I think that some of these cases, even most of the ones that we also handle,
yes,
gender-based violence. I mean, a woman that we lost, you know, sometimes ago, she stopped going to court. After adjournment, the husband, you know, beat her seriously, used some objects on her parts and everything, you know. So, but at the end, she went back home. They settled it. They went to the village, culture, everything settled.
When you say settled, she remained with the man?
She left and then came back. So after coming back, I think 8 months or 7 months after that, the husband slit the neck.
Slit her throat.
Her throat.
And she died.
And she died. Slit her throat. She died. So there are different cases. So I just want to say that rape is grievous, and there's no other way to define rape is rape.
Let's take a break. There's two things you've said now. Why does or how does a woman go back to that kind of situation where they've beaten you and battered you? Is that the experience you have on the field? And the second thing is on this rape. Apart from rape of that kind of baby that we've seen, is it also your experience that some people think that some females deserve to be raped because of the way they dress? So join us again after the break.
Nice question. Angela, that's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
That is a serious question.
Angela, that is a very great question.
Great question, Angela.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Angela, that's a tough one for me.
That's a good question. Good question.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Welcome back. My concluding moments now with Dr. OKEI ODUMAKIN. Two things that you said. The woman whose throat was eventually slit by the husband. Why did she go back? Was it pressures from society? Is it a cultural thing? They send you back? Because I've heard people saying, some of these, you know, Pentecostal Christians saying, go back. God hates divorce.
Yes, I think her own culture, I mean, going back, and are people saying, no, you cannot opt out, you have to go there, you have to manage it. Again, you know, after her death, that I went there.
Yes.
Some of the things were told that her religion, she went to a place of worship, and then after counseling, oh, no, you are an example of a woman who has kept the family, and you have to go there, you have to be there for your children. Apart from that, the husband had outrightly told her that if she leaves, she's not going to live with any of the children, and she cannot allow anyone to take care of her children, you know, except herself. And her own case then, she was even the breadwinner, the husband of the family. Some of the cases that we have had, about 70% of them, the men there were the breadwinner of the family. Apart from psychological, you know, violence, before I come back to that woman, another particular woman who had 26 stitches on her face, that case is still in court. I mean, what was her own offense? The husband, at least every day, make sure that he brings Titus Fish home, and that Titus Fish, he prefers to take the tail, and that tail must be big. So when the tail is cut off, the remaining head then But by that day, she mistakenly cut it. I don't know what was happening. So the tail was smaller. So she gave the husband the middle one, the big one. As soon as she took the food to the husband saw the vein, beat her mercilessly, and cut her all over until she passed that. She had 26 stitches.
Because of the tail of Titus
Fish that she cut small. And you know, the woman said the husband has always been beating and humiliating her. But this time around, when she passed, it was somebody from the hospital that sent a message that we have so woman that is in so hospital. So we had to go there.
Yeah.
And you know, when the husband was arrested, the day he appeared in court, he was granted bail. He wore the best cloth. He was waving at the back of a bike. And back, they didn't know how to come back. You know, people were there healing and everything. What sort of society are we in? So eventually, that woman was taken out of that house. And I want to tell you that it wasn't long that the woman left. Another person had moved in, you know, to the house.
Another woman?
Yes, another woman had moved in. That case is still on. In fact, the woman was like, she realized she missed that period. So she has given back to the baby now. So just a few days ago, she called me and said, this man is becoming a bit sober. And we tell women, speak out. Silence is no longer golden. I mean, we had the case of a woman for 12 years. The man has always been beating. But this time around, a graduate. But her work was to mop the duplex, you know. And that day she wasn't feeling fine. So while she was mopping, the husband had a visitor and was having his wine and the opener, and still saw her mopping. Threw the water away, used the wine opener, opened her forehead, you know, and deep cut. So, and after that, she landed in the hospital. The doctor called the husband, said the husband was chewing gum, you know, felt so unconcerned. But at the end, when we then knew about it, the husband was arrested, he was detained. The day that we first went to court, his friends, all of them came. When they saw us with a placard and everything, they ran away. And after I started begging, the woman said, "Doctor, you have restored my dignity. For close to 12 years that I'm married this man, he has never told me sorry." So at the end, I'm not a lawyer, but in courts, the magistrate was asking me that, "Are you sure this woman wants to settle out of court?" And I stood up. I said, "The man has been sober." After everything, we reconciled them, set up a daycare, you know, for her. So for those who are listening to this, silence is no longer golden. We must speak out. Even few men come to us. We have very few men. Some of them that their wives are beating them. One clear example: the man that ran to our office, that the wife was beaten, you know, close to 2 years. The woman said the reason why he had to be beaten was that each time he comes back, night guard, he will just speak in vernacular, jump on the bed, open your legs. At times, he will tie her legs to the 2 windows, you know, and he will wound her under, you know. At times, she will start bleeding. And she has 2 children. For those 2 children, she gives the woman 2,000 per month.
To do what?
To feed them. And the woman said she will buy gari, she will soak, she put under her table.
There's this rice.
This man will come back. That's the first thing he will first eat. The man was paid 7,500 where he was working per month. But then realized one day when the man came and held on to her, started hitting. So the man started crying like a baby after he slept off. The woman then said, "Oh, so I've now gotten the So that's why I started beating until that man ran to her office. We empowered them, you know, a bit, and now they have employed people. And
okay, so you do have from the opposite side.
Yes, we do.
Women beating up the men.
Yes, we do, but there are very, very few. We've had close to 4,000, you know, cases of violence. But only 5 men that we have documented have come.
Are they embarrassed when they come to say their wives beat them? Do they discuss it with anybody else, their family members?
No.
It's a hidden secret.
It's a hidden secret. When they come, you know, show, you know, bites and everything, that, "Oh, I've endured this, always been beaten." One of them said it was because the wife beat, you know, him on his private part. That's why he came to report. You know, but when you weigh all these things, the men, they are very few. Although 1 or 2 of them that reported said that he knows some few men who go through, but the percentage is minute. So for men who might also be listening to this, are going through this, they can come. If they come, we also protect them, we'll fight for their rights, and we even listen to both, you know, and, you know, settle the differences. We had to warn someone who was trying to hit the husband in our presence that you can't do this.
In your presence?
Yes.
While they were there meeting with you?
Use backhand, we said, no, sorry, you can't do this. And at the end, we've been able to reconcile, except for irreconcilable differences. That is when we always
Would you be
advise.
surprised to know that, it seems that even our law, Nigerian laws, support beating of wives. The penal code, which operates in the north, section 353, defines indecent assault against a man as a felony and indecent assault against a woman as misdemeanor, which is a lesser offense. That same penal code, section 55, subsection 1D, allows the man to beat his wife lightly. They call it for the purpose of correction, but not to cause grievous harm. And the penal code goes on to define grievous harm as loss of sight, loss of hearing, loss of speech, facial disfigurement, or life-threatening injuries. So if we have some laws in our country supporting a man beating his wife, why then won't most of them beat their wives as a way of disciplining the wife like the wife is a child?
I think the penal code, there's a need to review, such codes, because in fact there was a time we administered, questionnaires, and some particular group of women said that, well, maybe when they burn food, when they come back late, they want, to be beaten.
Yes, some women see the beating as a sign of love, as evidence of love and affection, that he loves me so much, he gets so upset, he has to beat me. Is that normal?
It's not normal, and it's strongly condemnable. I don't really think that there's any penal code that lightens the weight of the beating of a woman. The moment one raises, his hand to hit a woman, there's nothing that we should use in dressing it.
Yes.
It's outright, assault. And we've seen people that with slight hitting, they die. So I think that is the mindset. There must be a change of mindset. A mindset that says anyone will have to hit, for the sake of love. Apart from that, the penal code that we stipulate, except when it comes to grievous harm, bodily injury, that is when one has gone beyond reprimanding, correcting, for the purpose of correction.
Yes.
So I think that such laws, such penal codes should be expunged outrightly. And I want women to realize, even our children, we want to spank them, to beat them for the sake of, correcting them. So if you are talking about love, there could be correction, proper correction. And that's why we always tell most of these women that come, courtship, someone slaps and say, sorry, it's just to correct you. Or without anything, the person kicks, you off, and you still want to go ahead. By the time one gets in there, that person can never change.
It only starts with one slap.
Yes, it only stops. The moment the person slap, the person, oh, sorry, and then you forget about it. So I think that our women should know, they should not take such, and because they know that when it starts, what you won't bring it close to your nostrils, and that is why we have this patriarchal system. We have, when children grow up, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl, young boys it starts from that. Instead of them to wash plates, they are there playing ball. The girl is a lesser child, and such children grow up. So for those who spank, their wives or who hit them, their boys will also look at them and say, "Oh, this is what daddy does to mommy," and that is how
it's allowed.
Yes, it's allowed, and that's how it starts. And we've had cases of this sort of corrective thing that you have said that have resulted, that have had a multiplying, effect on the immediate and the extended family. So it's a thing that we should never allow. It's a cake. It's a thing that should be expunged. And for those who still have it at the back of their mind that women, they must be corrected, they must be treated as children, no, that should not be. Marriage is not competition, but to complement each other. It's side by side.
What do you say to those who justify rape of young ladies? We've talked about rape of children. I feel disheartened when I hear people say it's because of the way those females are dressing and they deserve to be raped. I always ask them, okay, so those young men who rape 82-year-old grandmothers. What did that grandmother wear that was so sexy or attractive that made the man want to rape? I mean, so is that why people rape, or rape is a thing of power over the woman?
I think it's outrageous for people to liken people's way of dressing and to say that that has led to the rise of rape cases that we have had. People, what makes one comfortable? That person, can dress however she wants, what she chooses, what she likes. And like you rightly observed, we've had the rape of 79-year-old, 80-year-old grandma that people will just go rape. Was she, according to them, was she indecently dressed? It's a thing that has to do with mindset, and that is why no reason whatsoever must someone use in justifying any act that does not add values to anyone's life. So for those who go out to talk about indecent dressing and the rest, it does not justify such rape cases.
Can a husband rape his wife?
Yes, we have always said it, and we have treated cases like it's mutual understanding.
But some people will say he paid the dowry. You are my wife, you are my property. You have no right to deny me of my conjugal rights.
I've seen husbands bully their wives and even thinking that either she agrees or not, even when she's tired or not. Yes, like you rightly said, I paid your bride price, you're my property, I can make use of, I can discard at any time. No, it's not. There must be that mutual consent and agreement
every time.
If the woman is not even in the mood, the husband must always appeal, must work on her so that psychologically, emotionally, she will come to agree with such. Anyone that has carnal knowledge of the wife without the consent or forces the wife, that means the person has raped the wife. The man must ensure that the wife is well pampered, she agrees, and anything that has to be done has to be with her consent.
Your final message, if people are going through some of these things we're talking about, assault, battery, rape, what advice can you give? For
those listening to us, I know that a lot of our women are hurting. Young girls, they want to always find a shoulder to lean on. I want to say, in those days, people will say, silence is golden. Silence is no longer golden. We must speak out. We must take ourselves off mute, speaking out, and we must be each other's keeper. When we hear shouts, neighbors, the case of a lady that died, people always hear shouts, but when they come out, they will see the husband and wife going and say, busybody, mind your business. But let us be each other's keeper. No one can stigmatize anyone who has decided to speak out.
And I can't let you go without congratulating you. I've been trying to speak with you since 2013 when you went to America to meet with Michelle Obama and Secretary of State John Kerry in celebration of International Women's Day. That was a major moment for you, wasn't it?
It was.
In this struggle, you do all these things and you don't think anyone is watching.
Yes, that's just the thing. Is having the passion, the conviction, all the things that I've done, not knowing that anyone was even taking note of watching all those things. But that day that I received a call, an email, I should proceed to the US Embassy. I went there, I was welcomed, I was given a special visa. 3 days after that, I traveled, and the way I was welcomed, I was received
a famous picture of you and Michelle Obama hugging.
Yes, great. In fact, I first got to Atlanta, I was received, and then I went to about 7 states in the United States, San Francisco, Little Rock, and eventually Washington, D.C. And getting there, standing on the same war stage with First Lady then of the United States and the former U.S. Secretary of State, and standing with those that are within the workings of that system that has given hope to the world. I just felt that with all that I've done, even not recognized in my country, and being recognized outside there. I want to tell you that day in, day out, limousine, I'll be taken to the airport. But the last day that I was to return to Nigeria, a taxi driver pulled up and said, I saw you on the screen. I never knew your country is Nigeria. I never knew anything good could come out of your country. But I'm so glad, and it's humbling that I'm the one taking you to the airport. I felt it was just like a soothing balm. So it's just more work. And that year alone, I had like 5 awards in the US, and I was also made an ambassador of Arkansas, the United States of America. That has served as a boost that I should do more for humanity. Passion is very, very important. One must also stay focused, and one should know that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And that's Martin Luther King. And like Franz Fanon said, that every onlooker is either a coward or a traitor. And what we do for ourselves, Ababa said, dies with us. Yes. But what we do for the others and the world remains.
Thank you very much, Dr. OKEI ODUMAKIN, for coming on 60 Minutes with me.
Pleasure.
And thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajetomobi.